What's up? What's up? What's up, man? Hey, another episode of Battle Tested. Battle Tested. What doesn't break you builds your brand. Go ahead and go on YouTube, subscribe. Go in Battle Tested Live podcast on YouTube. Go and subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit this the notification button so you can be able to get all the notifications when this show starts, and you can be on it. Right. So at 5 o'clock. So at 5:01, you sitting down with your popcorn and you ready to eat, and you listening to some great knowledge that's going to get dropped today. Okay. So every Friday you can do that. You can get the notification say this is going to happen. Right. It's so great to be back and enjoying the evening, and because you know what? It's 5 o'clock. Battle Tested. What doesn't break you builds your brand is on, and we have an amazing show today. I wasn't here last week. I'm going to speak on that. I wasn't here last week. Had some other things. I had some housekeeping to do. Okay. So, but we are going and we are on today. We are on today. I'm excited. You see the smile on my face. I got my mans here. I got my boy, my guy. He was my buddy. Remember I told y'all about the landmark course that I just taken. This is my guy. This guy is a CEO of a nonprofit, right? It's called The Sum. CEO of a nonprofit. His name is Elliot. Elliot C. I ain't gonna mess his name. I'm gonna let him. I don't want to mess nobody's name up, right? Hey, but this is my man Elliot right here, man. This dude used to be a middle school principal. Usually a middle school principal. He's a CEO of a nonprofit now. He's doing his thing, man, and he got re-energized when we went through Landmark, and he's just taking that thing to the next level. He is really impacting the Virginia, the DMV area now, but he lives in Virginia. But he's impacting that area with this massive new movement that he has going on. And he's going to talk about it a little bit today. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to have a conversation because that's what we do on Battle Test. We just have a conversation. So definitely subscribe. Here's my guy, Elliot, man. Elliot, man, it's so great to be with you, bro. And so exciting, though. So exciting to be with you. And, you would take the invitation to jump on and really have a conversation with me and just kind of rock it out, man. Just rock it out. So, Elliot, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people what I didn't tell them. And that way they can know about you, bro.
Thanks, Brandon. You got a good handle on it all. Everything you said is true. Although I have to say, this says battle tested, and I know you're all about battle tested. And I was thinking, wait a second. First of all, you could be battle tested, but that doesn't mean that you are like on it when it comes to talking in front of a whole lot of people. Like people are afraid of public speaking, right? More than death themselves. Yeah. And then you are afraid to say my name. So I want you to give it a try. You got to roll your R, and this is it. Cisneros. Perfect, dude.
Cisneros.
You got it.
Cisneros. Got it. Yeah. You ask me in 5 minutes, I probably won't remember.
That's all right. Practice makes perfect. Got it. So like Brandon said, I used to be a middle school principal. I used to direct the Human Rights Office for the city of Fort Collins. I taught on the Navajo reservation, and I'll tell you what, that was something else. I got a lot of indigenous blood. My dad was half indigenous and half Latino. I passed as a white guy. My mother was the only white woman in the church I grew up in. And then I came out here to Charlottesville, and I went, oh my gosh, I'm a white man, because that's all it's just one or the other out here. But yeah, where I come from on the inside, I grew up, with this Latino indigenous culture. And that's who I experienced myself on the inside to be. So sometimes, like my wife says hi, by the way, Brandon, Kathy.
What up?
She is an Anglo woman, and we go around every single day about cultural learning. And so what I ended up doing after working at the Human Rights Office, teaching at Naropa University, I would do social justice, multicultural classes. And so I started this nonprofit to do the work that we were doing. What we are finding is that people have these certain patterns around when you start talking about differences, whether it's race or disability or religions. They have these three patterns. And so what we do is we learned how to measure them to support people to go inside sort out what patterns are in their way so they could really find what lights them up. And you find what lights you up, then you can go after it. And then you got a life, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're about as a nonprofit, is supporting people and being more effective across difference. But rather than going out and changing people, it's about going inside and doing your work inside so that you know what lights you up and then going after that.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope, man. And that's pretty cool, man. Like, what led you to that space? I know you kind of mentioned about working for an office prior to, and you kind of
Right.
bringing it inside of you. It's like, I love doing that. What inspired you about that? Like, you what inspired you to navigate in that space and jump on that highway?
I'll tell you what, there's a couple things. One was, as I mentioned, I was raised in this Latino indigenous family and church. I went off when I was 4 and I met my mother's father, my grandfather, Anglo guy, right? And I went to give him a hug and he said, "Men shake hands." And he was angry. And where I came from in the Latino world, men shake hands, but men also embrace each other, right? And so it was very confusing to me. I thought, well, what does that mean? Is my dad not a man? You know, it was very confusing. So I went off on the rest of my life on some level. I was trying to sort that out. Like,
Wow.
how could that be? And then when I was 5, my dad died. So I was only 5 years old. So, you
Wow.
know, boom, right away, talk about it being tested. Every day after that, I'd go to the window, I'd wait for my dad to come home, and I'd have to remember all over again, oh, he's not coming, he's gone. And so I was battle tested at 5, big time. When I was in the 5th grade, I saw a video, and I totally recommend to all your listeners to go on YouTube and find Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes by a woman named Jane Elliott. She was a teacher back in the day in the Midwest, right? And when MLK was assassinated, she had mostly white students in the Midwest. She said, I gotta figure out how to get these kids to get what's going on. And so she said, all you kids with blue eyes, you have special privileges. And all you kids with brown eyes, you don't have those privileges. And she played that out for like a week. And then she switched and she said, all right, now you with brown eyes, you all have the privilege. And you with the blue eyes don't have the privilege. And she played all that out. And I watched this in the documentary, and you can see it happen in the documentary. And it is amazing to see how these kids transform. You want to talk about transformation. They become nasty and mean and power grabbing. And so that really changed my life. I got lit up on that stuff and I went after it after that. And I really, I knew. And then I have to tell you this, which is just a couple years ago, I got a picture from my cousin. I wish I had it with me. Of my dad sitting on a hillside with about 20 folks of all different races and colors and cultures. And I found out that he did this work in the 40s, long before I was born. I had no idea. My mom had no idea. My family had no idea other than this picture. And it had a note on the back saying he did work across race and difference back in the 40s. So when I get lost, all I got to do is look at that picture and I go, oh, dang, there was never a question. This was in my blood.
Yeah. So you basically, what you're saying to me is, what I'm hearing you saying is, you picked up the ball at the 1 yard line.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you
Like,
for
you
saying
picked up
that.
the ball at the 1 yard line, because you ended up going to be to be this person of, middle school principal, and going to do work for the government, and like, on it, like you said, at 5 years old, you went out on this quest, right? Like, you went on this quest. And that's how I look at battle tested when I created battle tested. Because, having known my story, and, when it comes down to battle tested, like, everybody's been battle tested. And so I'm just a
That's right.
representation of what that is. And
That's
the
brilliant.
message behind it, the lifelong journey of becoming who I am desired to be, so I can help unlock other people on who they are desired to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
Totally.
that's so cool. And the, because it's not about titles, it's not about, the leadership that we hold, or even the work that we do. It's about that message of sharing who you are authentically, and with authenticity, and taking that and allowing people to, and vulnerability, you know, guys, how we met, you know, like I said, on me and Elliot, we met and it was like, we was like brothers. Like he was telling me about what he had going on and what he was up to in life. And he was telling me about, and that's what I'm kind of going to now. And he was telling me about, you got 4 different types of personalities, and I'm gonna let him explain it. But it really touched me, and it's like, you got this, and it's similar to Wizard of Oz, but he'll explain it, like I said. So Elliot, if you will, go ahead and explain that about identity and how people's identity is constructed into these various different identities, and how going through the sum can help identify and as well as tap into that.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's my favorite thing to talk about. And you were bringing up the analogy of the Wizard of Oz. Another way to think about this is if you think about a ship and you got somebody who's in charge of steering the ship, in charge of the rudder, right? You got somebody else who's in charge of the sails and the power that drives the ship through the water. You got somebody with a little, what do they call those things? Like an astrolabe. They're looking at the stars. They're guiding the ship. They're trying to figure out where to go. And all of those 3 could be separate and they could fight against each other. But along comes a captain, and the captain says, wait a second, we got to work together. We got to work in concert, right? And so that's the captain's job, is to pull everybody together so that they're operating as one machine, as one team, as one crew. And it's the same with us. And we use the Wizard of Oz a lot because the Scarecrow is all about the head, right? The brain. The Tin Man is all about the heart. If we think about these as archetypes. And then along comes the lion, and the lion is about guts and courage. And those 3 things, when you look at the world, here's what we found when we were doing our diversity training and social justice training. We found that people would say things, they say the same things over and over again. If you ask somebody, what do you think about race, or what do you think about disability, or whatever that person says is going to come under one of these 3 patterns. And in brief, the Scarecrow, or the person in the brain, says, I have an open mind. I love all kinds of differences. So this person really values difference, right? The person who is, but they get stuck. They value difference. They have such an open mind that they don't want to offend anybody. So if somebody comes along and they say, yeah, I'm part of the KKK, well, that person suddenly gets confused because they're trying to welcome everybody, and they don't know how to say to this KKK guy, not on my watch. Like, you are welcome as a human being. I respect you as a human being, but you will not bring that pollution into this room or into my family or whatever, right? You can do it with strength without violence. So that's the learning edge for the Scarecrow, or for the person who's up here in their brains, is to have an open mind, but be able to be ferocious like the lion. So their learning edge is lion. The Tin Man is all about connection, but sometimes the Tin Man is so much about connection that he downplays difference. So the Scarecrow says, I value difference. The Tin Man says, I devalue difference. He says, you know what? We shouldn't talk about difference. Difference just causes trouble. We need to just talk about the fact that we are one human family. And we are one human family. But sometimes we get stuck over-focusing on us being all the same. And so we don't get to see people when they need to be seen. Like, you're a black man and you need to be seen as a black man. You want to be treated as a black man, and whatever that means to you, and I don't get to decide. And then along comes the warrior. The warrior is decisive and courageous and self-sacrificing. There's all these assets that each one of these patterns have, but they all have that learning edge. So the learning edge for Tin Man is he sees oneness. He needs to begin to see difference, or she needs to begin to see differences where they really matter. The lion comes along, and I'll tell you what, in a firefight, you want a lion, right? Because he's going to go after it. Sometimes lions see enemies where there are none. So sometimes as parents, if we're a lion parent, we can struggle a little bit because maybe our kid needs some real tenderness, some real gentleness. And for us as lions, sometimes we're just like, just man up and be ferocious. So each one of these has these learning edges. They have these assets. They have these limitations. And so what we do, what we find is, if you go out into the world and you see the lions over here and the scarecrows over here and the tin men over here, they all conflict with each other. They fight against each other. It's like this tension. You've seen in our world, you got to walk outside or turn on the radio, you see all this polarization, right?
Right.
And it all comes from these people being in these different patterns. And what are they doing? We're all pointing our fingers at the other guy, saying, you need to be more like me. You need to get it like I do. And I'll tell you what, I'm as guilty as the next guy. I've done this too. I've walked along saying, you know what? If only you could really be smart like me. If only you could understand things like I understand things. Well, what we've learned, and what I'm still learning, honestly, is that when I point a finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. And so my job, and what the sum does, is we support people to go inside and shine a light on the unconscious patterns, your learning edges, go after them, and integrate. I'll say that like 20 times. Integrate or leverage all 3 of those things together, just like that captain does on the ship, right? Once you begin to integrate all 3 of those, the assets of all of them, then you're on fire. Whatever your field, you could be a trash collector or a physics professor or a radio announcer, whatever it is, you'll be on fire, right? And that's what I really want for all of your listeners. I want you all to go after it. Find what lights you up. Go after it until your very last breath. Don't give up. You know, you fall 7, you rise 8.
Man, it's powerful, man. But I can just hear you talking, bro. Like you speaking my language, and listening to your story and your ancestry and your culture and your history and why you got started on where you are today. I can see how you've woven in this concept of life and what got you on this journey of becoming how much of who you are today is shaped on your early roots, though. Like, is that all of it is, or a piece of it? Like, you can really see how, like, some of the things or whatever, but how we was talking about, like, a certain part of your life created this person of, like, you just went on this quest, like, of doing it, and all like, what certain parts of your life that just kind of shaped the early roots that kind of shaped you?
Well, when you talk about a quest, it sounds really intentional, and there are definitely ways that I've been intentional, but there's also ways that if you don't have enough sense to go down on your own, life will take you down. And so a lot of that happens to us, and all you can do is just surrender. So for me, when my father died, every Christmas rolled around. He died not long before Christmas, and other kids, they wanted a bicycle or they wanted a skateboard or something. I just wanted my freaking dad to walk in the door.
Wow.
I love my dad. I wanted my dad to come in the door, and he didn't for many, many years. And I'm going to tell you something. When my kids were 5, my daughters, I have 2 daughters, when they were 5, when my eldest was 5, the impossible happened, which is that my father walked in the door and took up residence in my heart, because I was looking at a 5-year-old whose daddy was present, and that was me. I was so full of joy. I knew that there was no dad on this planet that loved his daughter more than I did in that moment. And that was a gift because my father passed. It was the first time I really got what a gift it ended up being for me. And then many years later, when I was a middle school principal, I work all summer long to memorize every single kid's name. Wow. So that when they came to school on the first day, I could say, welcome to this school. I'm so glad you're here, right? So I had a good friend. He brought his daughter to that school. He enrolled her in that school. And he came up to me one day, and he knew me well. He knew my history with my dad and all that. And he walked up to me, he put his arms around me, he gave me a hug. He said, who would have thought that the boy without a dad would end up being the dad to so many kids? And I'll tell you what, we just sat there and bawled our butts off right in the middle of the schoolyard, but it was a good day.
That's so cool, man.
It
That's a
made a lot
cool
of
story
sense.
right there. That is so cool
Yeah.
right there, man.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good
Yeah.
day. For sure.
Let me ask you a question. Like basically off of that, do you think we spend most of our lives trying to remember who we were before? Like, I know that happened to you. Like who I would have become. Like, do you spend most of your life like, man, who I'll become if I had my dad?
That's a good question. You know, I think I definitely have a kid part of me that when my dad died, I said, I don't belong in this world. I gotta hide. I gotta hide inside. We did some of that work in Landmark, you know, that sort of that act I developed, which was I just got to stay inside. I gotta hide, stay safe. Um, yeah, stay safe. So for me, I still can notice that I go into my little boy, and my little boy is kind of running the show from the inside. He's saying, "No, no, 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 no! I'm too scared. I'm hiding." But as I'm going through life, I can more and more notice authentically. Oh, wait a second! Hey, little boy, it's
Hey,
all
chill out.
right.
Chill out.
Yeah, chill out. And what do you need? You need, I mean, maybe you need something. Maybe you need a hug. Let's go ask somebody for a hug. You need
Right,
some
right.
ice cream. Let's go get you some ice cream. Whatever it is you need, I'm here for you. I'm gonna take care of you. But I got a man's job to do now, and I'm
Right.
gonna step up. I'm gonna step up to this plate. So when the Unite the Right rally went down in Charlottesville in 2017, I went and I bought myself a camper and I moved here to Charlottesville and I lived in somebody's driveway for 3 years. I didn't make a penny. I was on food stamps, to be honest. And I felt wealthier than I ever have in my life. I felt absolutely clear about what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, and let me ask you a question. Like, why elaborate on that a little bit more so people
Yeah.
can be able to connect with it, and because I do got another question from that, but elaborate on that right there.
Well, many people I know, some of your viewers are probably a little younger and maybe don't even remember, but in 2017, there was this big Unite the Right rally here in Charlottesville, and what happened was there was a peaceful protest, folks marching near the mall, the downtown. We have a downtown mall here, and a guy named James Fields got in his car and drove it at full speed into the crowd.
Wow.
He injured over 40 folks, and he killed one young woman named Heather Heyer. And Heather's mom didn't really have enough, then this is all public information. She didn't really have enough funds to pay for the funeral. So people from around the world began to donate to a GoFundMe campaign that they put out, right? And suddenly she had hundreds of thousands of dollars. She didn't know what to do with. So she started the Heather Heyer Foundation. And then she and I started to work together. And we created something called the Higher Voices, Heyer. That was her daughter's last name. And so our Higher Voices program was designed to support area high school students in developing their own social justice initiatives. And so that's what we did. Then along came COVID. Heather Heyer Foundation closed down for some good reasons that Susan, who is Heather's mom, made the choice to close it down. And I'm still here. I got remarried. I'm living in a Latino neighborhood, a beautiful Latino neighborhood, the largest Habitat for Humanity redevelopment program in the country. I know actually Habitat is based in Atlanta, and yeah, they've got long fingers.
Yeah, they do.
Up here in
Yeah.
Charlottesville.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff shapes you and who you become, man, and it's so unique to what you got. Like I tell people, like when people now, oftentimes people like I share with them. I'm free to share because, and the reason why I'm so free to share because I went through this program. It's called man, it just slipped my brain.
That's all right.
I went through this program, this therapeutic program, and this therapeutic program really it had me to talk about what I experienced in Afghanistan all the time. It's called prolonged exposure treatment. I was trying to over here think prolonged exposure treatment. And so prolonged exposure treatment, what it did is recognize, it had me to speak on it, speak on it, speak on it, speak on it, speak on it. When you talk about all the things I had endured, like it was talking about just that tour. Because I experienced some things on that tour. And so when you speak about things about like people's like having enduring and going in a space of development and transformation and identity, you know, I look at it now. My wife been gone for like 5 years now, right? 5 years and 5 and some change, 5.5. I don't see myself any other way than who I see. Like I don't know myself or my identity stopped that day. Like, and that's the reason why I asked you that question, because my identity stopped that day. That reality that was before, it stopped that day. It stopped that day. Like, do I remember her? Yeah, absolutely, I remember her. Of course.
Yeah.
You know, I shared so many years with her, but that reality and that, you know, not the memories of it, but that reality is like, who do I see because I had to develop into this guy of like, man, you know, I think I've shared on the show before. I've lived my entire life a lie. And that's what I told myself that night. I lived my entire life that lie. So I never knew anything. It's like, man, I've been going, they say get good grades, school, you know, career, all that stuff. And I did it. And life still happened for me. I say for me, not to me. Because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Because what it says in, like I said, I don't attempt to get spiritual on here, but it's 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares, plans to prosper you, not harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. And I believe that like everything is divinely, uniquely put together. And like even like us getting on the call today, you reached out to me and say, "Hey, don't we supposed to be?" You know, and I'm like, "Yep, you're right." Boom. So that wasn't no coincidence. It's all divine for us to be here today. And so it's not a loss. It's not, we only gaining a new reaction. It's only fracturing our reality of what we know reality to be. And sometimes it's like driving fast. You're like, pew, 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 like going fast. You might be going 80 miles and 75 miles an hour. We ain't gonna speed, right? We going 75 miles an hour, and guess what? We got to stop it, and we got to slam on the brakes, and like, what the? And then we gotta go across this thing, and it goes back to fast. And you're like, really? But that's how life is. Life shapes us in that experience, and that shapes us that way to understanding who we are in safety and the love that we are desired to have. So, you know, it's no coincidence that your dad, you know, passed when you were young, and to create the man that you are to dad that you, like my dad wasn't in my life. So guess what? I get to be in my kid's life, right? I get to be the dad that I'm destined to be in. And so by such, you know, they get to experience that, you know, they get to experience that, right?
Yeah.
And to correct. So, and that's what it's kind of pouring into, and how we shape ourselves and create this space. And man, it's so great. Yeah.
Well, there's something what you're saying to me is really key when you were talking about, I can't remember what the number was, but you know what I think about more than anything is, and we talk about this in Landmark a lot, that we're all learning the same thing. We always have been. We always will be. We may get it in this life. We may not get it till the next life. I don't know, depending on what your spirituality is around all that, maybe. But one of the things that transformation does for us is we shift from imagining that the barriers are out there in the world, that my wife passing, or my father passing, or I don't have enough money, or I'm too ugly, or I'm too this or too that, or not enough this. Somehow we imagine, and the world kind of teaches us that the barriers are outside of us. And what our nonprofit, and to me Landmark, and to me what we're all on this planet to learn, is that we have choice, we have responsibility, we act with integrity, we act with agency, and we can create any kind of life we want as long as we're ready to stand with us, with ourselves, and with one another, right? That we're responsible. So as soon as people, again, that's back to that finger pointing thing. As soon as we say, oh, somebody else is stopping us, we're fooling ourselves. We're just fooling ourselves.
Yeah, like what's stop? Like, it's so great that what you're pointing to right there, though. It's so amazing what you're pointing to, because no one's stopping us in the world.
No,
like it's no one stopping us in the world. Like, you are only stopping like the constraints of your life. It's based on the constraint. Those constraints are, I came up with this like a couple weeks ago, and so I don't know if I shared it with you or not. No filter, no concerns, no ego. If you have no filter, no concerns, and no ego, what opens up for you then? Like, really, like, intuitively capture that for a moment. Intuitively capture that for a moment. You have no filters, no concerns, and no ego.
Yeah.
No filters, no concerns, no ego. Who do you never, and that's what I always ask myself this: who do I never get to be?
Nice.
And I said, who do I never get to be? And what came up for me, and it's probably helped some people ask themselves that question, is extraordinary. I never get to be extraordinary. And when that lightens me up, right? Extraordinary Brandon. Extraordinary Brandon, right? Like, and so, like, how much of like you dealing with this work? How long you been dealing with this work? I know it's been for a long time. What is it?
Well, the nonprofit's been going for 20 years.
20 years, nonprofit. And so like 20 years of an existence of healing people and creating a space where people can masterfully have a territory and a space to grow.
Yeah.
Like, what inspires you daily to get out of bed and go and do that? Awaken people in that space.
Well, I have to say, like, I would use a little bit different language. Like, to me, people awaken when they're ready. Like, when you've heard that saying, like, when you're ready for the teacher, the teacher appears. But you got to be ready. You got to be ready for it first. So, like, we're not out to change the world. We're not out to change people. We're not out to change organizations, but the absolute opposite. We're here to give up trying to change people. Because imagine, Brandon, if I grab you by the shirt and I say, come on, I'm going to change you. I mean, what's your instinctual reaction?
Who said I need to be changed?
Yeah, who said, right? And guess what? Organizations are just like an individual human. They're built of humans, and they don't want you to come in and try to change them or fix them either. And neither does the world. So what happens when we surrender, when we give up? We say, all right, it's not my job, it's not my business, it's your business. Your life is your business. My life is my business. I'm not going to try to change you. I'm going to give up. Guess what? I'm going to go inside. I'm going to find what lights me up. And we all know Gandhi's famous saying, which is, be the change you want to see in the world. So if you're busy trying to change other people, then you're not freed up to be the change. In order to be the change, you got to give up trying to change everybody else. Right? So for me, you were asking like what motivates me on a daily basis. It's that surrender. I'm learning all the time, and I get invested. It's like, oh, my wife and I are in this little tussle about something. It's like, wait a second. I'm going to let that one go. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to give up trying to make you the person I think you should be. And I'm going to listen to, well, who is it that you want to be? So hopefully by the time I'm a dead man, I'm going to be more able, I'm getting better at really listening people in the way that I really want to listen them. I want to listen them. I want to hear who they really are and who they really want to be. And that's transformative. I don't, like you're talking about your therapist, let's say. different people are really good at listening, and I want to be good at listening, especially across differences. I enjoy that, really, listening people, and who do you want to be, and what kind of support do you need to be that person? Like, go for it. Let's find it and go after it.
Yeah, and having such a extended life and created life and understanding life and having experienced pieces of you done had your 20s, you done had your 30s, you done had your 40s, 50s, your 60s, whatever, like, and you're like so much transformation in within that. In the moment, like what I'm hearing you say is like no matter what, like, no, it's not, you're never too old to want to work on yourself and to create a space where it's like you could be a better listener. Like you said, until I leave this thing, like you got this passion, like until I leave this thing, I want to, when I walk out of here, like when I walk in the door, oh, he was a great listener. Right? That's what I'm hearing you say. Like, you like that is that's right. Like, wow, that's so powerful. Cause yeah, we got people.
I was just gonna say, you're talking about ego and letting go of ego. Well, part of that for me is, like when I was younger, I wanted to be famous or a rock star or make a lot of money or something. And at where I'm at in my life is like, it's still a letting go of, do I really care about what other people think of me? Because if I really care about what other people think of me, or if I really don't want people to dislike me or whatever, then I'm off track. I'm out of my lane, right? My lane is what lights me up. Your lane is what lights you up. And up until I'm dead, right? Something is going to light me up more than something else.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. And it started like, what lights you, like what kind of gave you that recollection though? Like, I know for me, the moment, like I said, I always go, like I've had a successful career, man, and it's like super successful life. I just hit 40 last year. Nice. Super successful, right? Like when we talking about performance, can't touch me. Right? Like, I ain't hammered, but you can't touch it, right? Like, but you cannot touch it. Like I was thinking about it today. I was writing it all down and I was creating there and just creating this space of development and transformation. And it's like, I got this degree, that degree, this thing done, that thing done. And I did all that stuff. And it's like all that stuff started getting the pride of it. And that was what I think that word, right? And I'm really starting to recognize that word of pride. Because, that ego is like, nah, you can't be too prideful. Can't be this. But let me tell you, when you put that pride inside of there, that confidence exudes everything to the next level of creation. Is like, you've been a middle school principal, got massive degrees, ran nonprofit for the last 20 years, but the most powerful thing that led you and kept on pushing you was to continue to do your dad's work and the unknowingly and the pain that you felt underneath, right? And I know for me, and the reason why I share that story is like the pain that I felt like that day of October 24th, 2020, it will always sit right there for me. I continue to move on, but that's when I woken up. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Pain will create a transformation in itself. It will make you really look at life and say, okay, cool. Realizing that pain isn't isolated. It's something bigger than, if you really allow it to. You got to allow it to, though. You don't allow it, you got to let the pain do what it does and create the system and create the new version of you that you desire to be.
Yeah, you're reminding me of, I can't remember the guy's name. He was a Buddhist monk, and he gets called the happiest man in the world because of the vibe that the brain waves he actually puts off. And I was listening to him on the radio, and somebody said, how is it that you're so happy? and he said, it's about learning to grieve. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. He said, when you grieve, you're connected to everybody. You're connected to the whole planet when you grieve. And I thought that was really eye-opening for me, heart-opening for me, for sure.
Like, man, it's so powerful there. That you grieving the old version of you.
It changes you.
And birthing a new version.
Yeah.
Grieving the old version of you and birthing a new version.
Well, and here's the. Go ahead, finish your thought.
Was there I was about to ask a question. So,
well, I was just gonna say, you never quite know necessarily, like when our hearts get broken. So my dad died when I was 5. My heart was broken, right? But what's the difference between a broken heart and a heart broken open? And so what I found over time was that my heart was so broken open. It was so open that I began to connect with my Father. One of my favorite quotes is by a woman named Bola Juju. She says, nothing soothes the wounds of our ancestors like the sweetness of our existence. So in other words, when I have a good day and I'm having a sweet day and I'm with my wife in the sunshine, walking in the forest that we have out back, my ancestors are smiling. And they are, when I go to bed at night and I go to sleep, my indigenous grandmothers, they're whispering in my ear and they're giving me advice and things like that. And I'm connected. I feel more connected or just as connected with my father. I mean, I just feel like I can have a conversation with him. And I don't mean like woo-woo kind of spiritual, like ghost kind of thing. It's a real solid connection that I experience with my father that couldn't have come without all that grieving that we're talking about and a lot of time. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like, wow. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
You were going to ask a question though, and I cut you off. You remember?
Yeah, like, do you think most people underestimate deeply, or unconsciously conditioning themselves in their identity?
Yeah, well, the things that you're talking about, like being free, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to stay safe, and especially the patterns that we learn in childhood. All of us, at some point, you're in school. I remember standing in line in school, and somebody said, it was my first day at this school, and the lady who was running the recess was supervising. She said, "I told you to get in line." And I burst into tears. Yeah. And of course, all the kids turned around and they started making fun of me. And they're like, "Cry, baby, cry, baby." So I thought, oh, wait a second. My lesson is as a man, especially, right? This was man school. Shut down the tears. Don't, men don't cry, that kind of thing. Some of the things we're talking about. Men don't grieve, that kind of thing. We can show anger. We can show power, but we are not supposed to show vulnerability and all that stuff. It's a bunch of bull. And that's why we as men, we die younger. We have heart attacks and,
all that stress in there.
Oh, yeah. So we got to learn and we got to teach each other. And talking about mentoring, we got to mentor the younger folks so that they know how to be vulnerable and grieve and show their feelings.
Like it's so funny. Now I'll tell you what, in my next statement though, it's so funny that people tend to hold on to pain and grief like it's a trophy. Like it's like, yeah, I'm gonna hold this up. Like I just won this trophy, right? It's like, really? Like, hey, let me holler at you though. Like, let me holler at you because one, you need this book right here, The Journey of Being. You need this. You need this book. You need Landmark. You need to go to the sum.org. And really identity, allowing that stuff to those interior barriers are just sitting up there, just sitting there, just
they're waiting to be loved.
Waiting on to be loved on. It's most of the time insecurities, right?
Right.
Fear, that's a big one that holds us back. But it's fear and insecurities
Right.
and abandonment. Those words that are just like when you process them, I wasn't abandoned.
Well, and the other thing here is that, like if you take fear, fear is one side of the same coin. The other side is excitement, is thrill. If I was watching some YouTube of this young woman was getting ready to dive off a diving board and she's doing a handstand. She's got a huge crowd out there and she's right on the edge of the board and she's just balanced upside down on her hands, right? And I'm thinking, dang, she must be so terrified and yet so focused and so, super clear and on it and doing what she loves and what she was born to do. So, yeah, there's something about fear. And incidentally, those three patterns I mentioned, there's different kinds of fear, right? There's frozen fear, like we freeze. There's the kind of fear where it's like, hey, let's fight. And there's flight, like I'm getting out of here. But normally I would say that fear really guides us. Like there's something in our fear, whatever terrifies you. If you're not afraid, then your vision for yourself is not big enough. Your vision should scare the bejesus out of you because it's so dang big. So if it isn't, make it bigger. Play a bigger game. Get a bigger plate. Make it happen.
Hey, I just heard that a couple of days ago. It's like, get a bigger plate, right? Create a bigger plate. Like we play our life so great and so good that you're saying that. And it's like, get a bigger plate. Like both of us, we've been around people and you're like, wow, you hear that you're like, how are you able to do that? Like, if you're not around people that inspire you, then you need to exit. You need to go and give them your exit slip, right? Like, give them your pink slip because you're not around people that excite you. Like, you think about Elliot, man. Elliot just have a great conversation. We just always have. It's just been,
we do.
But that really, what you were pointing to a moment ago, the physiological core of what you were just pointing to, the physiological space of where that is.
Excitement and terror, they're like physiologically
the difference between being wounded and grief and pain is, like you said, the opposite. It's like this book, right? You see the journey of being on the front of the book, but you see the back of the book too. Like you see, like, man, you see the front, oh, okay, cool. But you see the front of it. I mean, the back of you, like, oh, unlocking the path to acceptance, transformation, and mastery. So, that's the difference between being wounded. It's also the opposite, like what you just said. It's building the identity around the wound. And so that's what I kind of created there. And that's what I'm doing now. It's creating around what it actually so good that what you just said. Creating the wound, creating the identity around the wound. Like my wife passed 5 years ago, and I created this about 4 years ago, and I created this show, battle tested. What doesn't break you builds your brand. You like, man, I've been battle tested before, like a lot of people, but it requires a conversation as such that we are able to see ourselves as powerful beyond measures of who we know ourselves to be. See, like when we started the program, is who we know ourselves. We had to read the purpose and the promise of the program, and who we knew ourselves to be. And it's so powerful and so good because our world starts outside of the box that we create for ourselves.
Nice. That is the work in some ways, right? Getting outside of that box.
It's outside of who we know ourselves to be. And it's so good. Like we know that, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it, and I was working on this a minute ago, and I was like, I got these degrees, like what is this? Like, stand on that. Stand on those experiences. Stand on the things that who you know yourself to be. On the other side. What's on the other side of that? So it's so good. the responsibilities that we place on ourselves, and how we embrace those things. You know, the embracing of it, and the difference in like building the identity and not, because you got people that been through what I've been through that don't. They just say, I'm just gonna drink, smoke, and go.
Right.
Then you got other people say, nah, I'm gonna go to the next level with this. I'm gonna tell you, like, somebody's out there.
And you never know, right? Like sometimes it takes time, right? It's got to percolate. You got to percolate. You got to, you know, sometimes I remember reading, what was his name? Cabeza de Vaca, early Spanish explorer. He dug a hole and stuck himself down in the hole. He had lost everything, his ship, his people, and he referred to it as divine waiting. He just sat there with one of those little like reeds that he was breathing through, and he sat there for like, I don't know, a couple days, something like that. He called it divine waiting. I think sometimes we got to do some divine waiting because we don't know how it's all going to go together. And as we get older, we look back and we go, "Oh, that's why that had to happen that way." But you don't always know in the moment, and so you got to be patient with yourself and patient with your life too.
You know what, Elliot? I really look at my life now, and like I created this thing, like going through this process. Like I would not be who I am today. You would not know me because I was not this guy. Like I was just performance mode. That's the only thing I knew. Like, and when I tell you how I look at it now, I created this quote, and it says, "You can't build skyscrapers on burial grounds." Right? Like you can, and that's what I want to share with you people. Like, you cannot build skyscrapers on burial grounds. You know, and that's where it is. Like what that means is you can't go to the next level. You can't go to the next level without cleaning up that stuff on the bottom. That interior barriers in there, because that's just that childhood stuff. You can attempt. You see so much stuff that happens in the world now. It's all come from somebody's brain, and a lot of that stuff is that crap that's been put in their brain, right?
Yeah.
And the person at Charlottesville, the person that we ain't gonna speak about, like all the nonsense that happens in the world, it comes from someone's great brain, and the difference in it is like how you honor in that pain, and how you psychologically attaching to something. And you know, are you on survival? You on this or you on that? So that's so good, man. Like what we're talking about right now. And
one of the things you're
before we get out here, because the time is going by, it's been like it's almost 6 o'clock already.
It is.
Like, right? Like we just having a conversation.
I just want to tell you a quick thing about the science, because there's something you were talking about the brain, and one of the things we now know is that, first of all, that they figured out scientifically a couple of years back, 5 years ago, that the heart puts out more neuron messages to the rest of the body than the brain does, right? So what you're talking about, the need to grieve, is heart work, is not brain work. And then very recently, the mesentery. The mesentery is your connective tissue in your gut. And we now know that that's not just like empty tissue. It also sends more messages to the rest of the body than it gets from the brain. So in other words, we identify culturally, we tend to think this is where I'm at. Depending on what culture you're in. In the Latino world, a lot of folks say, if you ask them to point to themselves, they say this, I'm right here, right? And so different people experience themselves in different parts. But if you feel yourself being stuck in your head or stuck anywhere, being able to, that's one of the signs of integrating, is when you can move and appreciate being in your gut, being in your heart, and being in your brilliance in your head. And you were going to ask me a question, because I know it's time to wrap up soon.
Yeah, man. Tell people where exactly they can be able to, identify you are, and where you at, like where they can find your website, like all that stuff. Like, go ahead and share it with the people, and so they can check in with you.
Well, you already said we're at the sum.org. So the sum is THE, S as in Sam, U as in umbrella, M as in monkey.org. So thesum.org. And if you go to the second page of our website, please become a partner in belonging leadership. So what we are doing now, I get kind of bored. I'm going to be honest. Like teaching classes back in the day, teaching workshops, all that stuff is for me, it feels a little like boring, a little patronizing. And so I'm thinking it was actually during our training that we did when I heard people use the word game. And incidentally, my father was a fun, warm, playful man, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was running for the state senate. He asked my uncle if he could put a campaign sign in the church's window, and my uncle said no, it's not appropriate. So my uncle goes to drive off, and he looks up, and there's a sign in the window. My dad had snuck it in there. So my dad was always playing jokes and things like that. So when we started talking about a game, I thought, you know what, we're going to make a game. So these patterns that I was just telling you about for the last hour on and off, we made it, or we are making it into a game, a tabletop game, an actual tabletop game. And so if you have 4 people, 25 bucks each, you'll get a game and you'll get your name in the game booklet. You can learn more about the sum. You can get your unconscious patterns measured. There's all kinds of things you can do. So head on over to thesum.org and drop me an email. Let me know who you are, how you're doing. I would love to get some feedback and ideas. If you want to be a part of like our prototype development, that would be awesome. We're also doing surveys because we're using voices from around our community, right? The queer community, the Black community, the Muslim community. We're asking these folks to develop their own surveys and survey themselves and let us know what the important things are for them to get out in the world. So that's what we're spending time, is putting that into the game. So it's actually, the game is called The Power of Us. And so The Power of Us. And so it's made by a lot of community members, not just this one little pink-faced straight guy, but all kinds of people.
Yeah.
So come join and be a partner in belonging.
Belonging. Wow. Nice. And so let me ask you a question. So can they be able to donate on that website as well? They can be able to donate and patronize their website, and because you're doing some powerful stuff, and I know that's how your lights stay on and all that stuff. Outside of the game,
Yes. Well, I would say that's the best way to do it, because we're okay. We're doing all right. But we want to raise $20,000 in the next month so that we can produce this game by the end of the year, by holidays, next Christmas. People can send this to your families, to your friends, to your schools, that kind of stuff. So on the second page, there's a link to our crowdfunding. It's on what's it called? Zephy. It's a Zephy platform. Go on there. Again, $100 gets you a game, but if you don't have $100, not everybody's got $100. I bet you got 3 friends. If you all do 25, your names are all in the book, and you got a game coming when it gets put out. Let
me ask you this question before we close out. So when it's all said and done, what do you hope to benefit? Like, when you on your deathbed, what do you want to leave behind with having done transformation and what you do now?
Well, it's funny. I often use that phrase when I'm on my deathbed, but I kind of like the idea of the last thing I want is I want to fall out of my bed and die on the floor because I'm going out to do something. I got something to do.
Wow, that's so powerful.
To head with the deathbed. Let's just crawl to the door and let's get something else done.
That's so powerful, man. Hey, man, it's so great to be with you, man. Hey, guys, you see the website scrolling below. Mr. Diamond Inc. 2.0, Mr. Diamond Inc. 2.0 on IG and TikTok. Mr. Diamond Inc. 2.0 on IG and TikTok. Make sure you subscribe to Battle Tested Podcast live on YouTube. Go ahead and go there now. Why are you waiting? I had a great interview with Elliot tonight. This evening, man, it's such a great thing. And Cernestos. Is that right? Cisneros.
Perfect.
With Elliot Cisneros. I wanted to say it again. I ain't gonna mess it up, right? So it's so great to be in a part of have this conversation with him today. And you guys go on his website, thesum.org, thesum.org. Go on there, subscribe, go and get your game. Go play the game. Get some people, play the game. He said when he walks out of this thing, that's what he want to do. He want to die, fall down, and just crawling out the door because he want to do this work. And so, guys, same time next week. Well, not next week, but same time every Friday. Battle.